Hello everyone, I am Asha Best. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all are safe. Today I welcome you all in class 6, 7th chapter of history, new questions and ideas. Today we are going to discuss the second part of this chapter. In the first part, we discussed the story of the Buddha when he took birth, how he wanted to search about life. We also discussed how he got enlightenment and what he did after getting enlightenment. We discussed about the important points of Buddhism. We also discussed about the languages used that time to compose Vedas. We understood the Upanishads. About the Jainism we discussed the important points related to Jainism we discussed, like how Jainas they used to live their life, what they used to search, how they spend their life, what strict rules they need to follow, like the Ahimsa we discussed. So let's begin with the second part today. The Sangha. Both Mahavira and Buddha felt that only those who gave up worldly life and became monks could gain true knowledge. They set up organizations called Sanghas, where these monks spent much of their time on religious studies and meditation. They arranged for them to stay together in the Sanghas, an association of those who left their home. The rules made for the Buddhist Sangha were written down in a book, and that book is known as Vinay Pitaka. All men could join Sangha as per this religion. Children had to take permission from their parents if they want to join these Sanghas. Even slaves, if they want to join it, they need to take permission from their masters. Those who work for the king had to take permission from the kings. Women had to take permission from their husbands to join these Sanghas. Men and women who joined the Sangha led simple lives, that was the rule. They meditated most of the time. They went from cities to cities and villages to villages to beg for food. And those hours were fixed when they used to move out. That is why they were known as Bhikshuk. The Prakrit word for beggar. They taught others and helped one another. They also held meetings to settle any quarrel which took place within the Sangha. The disputes were settled down within the Sangha only. Those who joined the Sangha included Brahmins, Kshatriya, merchants, laborers, barbers, courtesans and slaves. All together they joined Sanghas. Many of them wrote down the teachings of Buddha. Some of them also composed beautiful poems which were describing life of people, those who used to live in Sangha. Now let's discuss about the monasteries, places where monks used to live. Jain and Buddhist monks went from place to place, and therefore the need for more permanent shelters was felt. As a result, monasteries were built which were known as viharas. The only time they stayed at one place during the rainy season. When it was very difficult to travel, then their supporters built temporary shelters for them in gardens, or they lived in natural caves were also searched to live in. Those were found in the hilly areas. As time went on, many supporters of the monks and nuns and they themselves felt the need of permanent settlements, permanent shelters for these monks. So that is why monasteries were built. These were also known as viharas. The earliest viharas were made of wood and then of bricks they started to make. Some were even in caves that were dug out in hills, especially in the western India, we can find them. A Buddhist text tells us, just as the waters of rivers lose their names and separateness when they flow into the mighty ocean, so are varnas and ranks. Like in the society that time, varnas and ranks were placed. But once you start adopting this religion, you are one. Very often, the land on which the viharas were built was donated by a rich merchant or a landowner or the king. The local people came with gifts of food, clothing, and medicines for the monks and nuns. In return, they taught the people. Over the centuries, Buddhism spread to many parts of the subcontinent and beyond. That we'll understand more in detail in chapter 10. Monks of Buddhist and Jainism started living in monasteries known as viharas that we discussed. The earliest viharas were made of wood and then bricks. The monasteries where monks lived were called viharas. 4 ashramas of life. In Upanishadic times, the life of an upper caste man was divided into 4 stages called ashramas. These were brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha and sannyasa. Brahmin, Kshatriya and Vaishya men were expected to lead their lives according to them, but this was not followed rigidly. Like we discussed, 4 ashramas were recognized: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha and sannyasa. In grihastha, people had to marry and live in household life. In vanaprastha, they had to live in the forest and meditate. In sannyasa, finally, they had to give up everything and became a sannyasi. The system of ashramas allowed men to spend some part of their lives in meditation, and generally women were not allowed to study the Vedas and they had to follow the ashramas chosen by their husband. They were not free to choose their decisions for themselves. Now, keywords which came in this chapter are Atma. Atma is the individual soul which remains permanent in the universe even after we die, was called Atma by the thinkers. This is the meaning which is given by thinkers, that Atma remains in the universe though body dies. Karma. Our actions have been referred by Buddha as karma. Buddha said our karma, whether good or bad, affect us both in this life as well as in the next life. That is our karma, whatever we get. Tanha, the desire for more things, have been described by the Buddha as thirst or tanha. When we want more and more, we never get satisfied. So, this is all about this chapter. Hope you understood it. Hope you liked it. We'll soon meet with some other videos from other chapters. Till then, take care. Have a nice day.